What's the difference between a hooker and a lawyer? A hooker will stop screwing you after you're dead. Everybody loves lawyer jokes, especially lawyers. They're even sort of proud of them. Wonder why that is. Okay, we're back after a long break. Sorry. Hopefully this works tonight. I'm gonna do what I can to see that this works, but I already started trying to do this review. It didn't go well. I was 50 minutes in and only 3 pages of my notes in, and was like, I can't. So I literally have to redo this. And like I've said before, video disclaimers, these videos are completely unedited and unfiltered. So if I don't get it down tonight, it's just not going to happen. And I'm going to have to skip this one because if I were to try to edit any of this, I would be I'm too much of a perfectionist. I wouldn't get it done. And they're completely unfiltered, so adult things are going to come out of my mouth. So if you have kids in the room, you might want to ask them to leave or put your headphones on. Another disclaimer is that I will give spoilers away, but have no fear. If you want to avoid spoilers, I'll put a list of all the movies that I talk about in this video underneath the video so that you can avoid. I'll have a header that says spoilers so that you can avoid spoilers for any movies that I might give spoilers for. Tonight, I am talking about Philadelphia, 1993. It is a very serious, very hard topic, and close. And so I find it a little challenging to talk about, but hopefully this is not going to be super long. We got to get through this. I got a lot of notes. Plus, it does qualify for something in the book. Now, since I took some time off, there is no way I'm getting this book done in 52 weeks. Though I will complete all the challenges. I am going to continue and complete all the challenges. It just won't be done in 52 weeks, and that's perfectly fine. Like, life happens. Okay, challenge number 26. A film that features an illness. So I chose Philadelphia. A year released 1993. Aspect ratio 1.85:1. Running time 2 hours and 5 minutes. Genre drama. Rated PG-13. Starring Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, Antonio Banderas, Jason Robards. I love him in this film. One of my favorite performances of his. Tracy Walter. A bunch of other people I had noticed were in this. Charles Napier. There was another guy that I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe he's in this. I totally missed it. I'm on the IMDb page, but he doesn't show up. He doesn't show up in the first set, so I always have to go to like the full cast list. There was one other guy that I was so surprised he was in this, and I like him. He's done some other stuff that I really like, and I was just like, oh, I forgot he was in it. He has a very small part in it. He plays a juror. Daniel Van Bargen. Yeah, he's in this. I like him in this. He plays a very small part, but he does a good job. I like him in other films, too. Anyway, directed by, again... When I did my review of Silence of the Lambs, I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce Jonathan Demme's last name. Is it Dem or is it Demi? I've heard it pronounced Dem, and I've heard it pronounced Demi or Demi. So I apologize if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but I've always thought it was Jonathan Demme. Produced by Jonathan Demme and Edward Saxon, written by, and I'm going to get this wrong, so I'm going to read it. My handwriting is terrible, especially after, I watched this movie a while ago and then am trying to read my notes. Written by Ron Nyswaner, Nyswaner, Niswaner. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Music by Howard Shore. I love a lot of his music. This does not stand out to me as like a wonderful score. It's okay. It's fine. It serves its purpose. I've heard other stuff that he's done. I mean, obviously, Lord of the Rings. I've heard other things that he's done that really stand out. This didn't really stand out. I think the film shines overall, which is good. Let the film do its thing. Awards received. Ugh, man. Okay, so Best Actor, Tom Hanks. And I think it's insanely deserved. He did such a fantastic job. And I don't have my Oscar list pulled up right now. Otherwise, I would double check and see. And I'm afraid to screw up the video. Every time I try to pull up something else, my video ends up stopping. And I don't know why that is. So I'm not going to try to pull up my Oscar list right now. Or maybe I can do it a different way. I'm not super computer tech savvy, but maybe I can do this. Oh. Yeah, it'll let me pull it up. I don't want this review to be super long, so I'm just trying to expedite this. 1990. This was 93. Who was he up against in 93? I mean, Tom Hanks is amazing. Daniel Day-Lewis in The Name of Our Father, didn't see it. Lawrence Fishburne, What's Love Got to Do with It? Lawrence Fishburne was amazing in that movie, but Tom Hanks way over him in this performance. I loved that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It, and Lawrence Fishburne, yes, but Tom Hanks. Anthony Hopkins for Remains of the Day, didn't see it. Liam Neeson for Schindler's List. Now, Liam Neeson was amazing in Schindler's List, but I haven't seen it in so long. It's almost like rewatching it, and I wouldn't really be able to say what performance did I appreciate better because I don't remember Schindler's List well enough. I need to rewatch it. Definitely, absolutely. Okay, moving on. Awards received. He received the Oscar for best leading role, not supporting, leading role. And it also won for best song. Bruce Springsteen, Streets of Philadelphia. Wow. That song is just, I mean, most people know it. And it's very well deserving of best song. Why did you choose this particular film? I absolutely love this movie. Again, it's a hard subject to watch, so sometimes it's hard to watch over and over and over, but every time I watch it, it's so impactful. It is dated. I think I have notes to that effect. It is dated because we've come a long way in research, in trying to find a cure, in stopping it from being, HIV from being a death sentence, or AIDS. They say AIDS most of the time in this film, stopping it from being a death sentence. So we've come a long way medically, and we've come a long way as far as, yes, I know still parts of the country, parts of the world, homosexuals are still treated unfairly and not equal. So some of the things that I find so culture shock from the 90s, the way they talk about them, the way they treat them, I get that people still have to deal with that today. So I don't want you to think that I'm taking away from people who have to struggle with that now. I happen to live in California, have lived in California almost all my life, and thankfully in California we have mostly progressed so far beyond the reality of this film. The way gays are treated. Mostly gays in this film, very little. I think there's one or two lesbians, not many. Mostly it's about gay men. I think it's a very important film. Even though it is dated, it is very important. I love it. Have you seen this before? Oh yeah, plenty of times. I own it. I did not see it in the theater. I was too young. I don't think my parents... I don't think this movie was in their frame of reference at the time. Like, not even close. This is not a type of film that they would watch. I don't think. Would you recommend this film? Why or why not? Yes, again, it is dated, but it's brilliant. It's so well done. It's so well acted. It's fantastic, but it is a very hard film to watch and accept. And yes, people were treated that way. And yes, people today are still treated that way. And that is sad. Which character were you most able to identify with or connect with in what way? I had a hard time with this question and was like, you know what? I decided not to strain it and try to answer this question. As you know, I've said in other videos, I can't stand this question. This is the question that's in every single challenge, and I'm like, I really don't like this question. But this time, I didn't want to delve too much into my personal connections to this film. As a gay man, how do I feel about this? Knowing people who have HIV, living with someone who had, having friends who have, who are living with, and knowing people who have died of, it's really hard for me to, like, how do I put myself somewhere in this film? I didn't want to, and so I just left this question blank. Best line or memorable quote. The funny thing is, the one thing that always pops in my mind when I think about this movie is innocuous. Because I've never heard that word anywhere else except this film. And they make it a point at, innocuous, when he says that, the dust is fine. It's not dangerous. It's innocuous. And then he remembers him later on for that specific word. So the word becomes important in this film, and I've never heard that word anywhere else. I've never heard anybody say it in real life, and it's just anyway, that line, that word always pops out at me. And the many times they say, explain it to me like I'm a blank year old. The many times a 2-year-old or a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old or whatever, he says it many times, and then Van Bargen says it at one point. The juror, he says it too. So that is a very memorable line from this film. Were you surprised by the ending? What would you do differently? No. At the time, like I said, I'll say it over and over and over. Sorry, this is a dated film, and at the time, HIV/AIDS was a death sentence. So we knew going into this film, that's where it's going to go. Was I surprised that he won? I was glad that he won. I don't know if I was surprised because I wasn't sure what to expect. Why would we go on this journey and have him not win? It would have been, either way, it would have been a great movie, whether they won the case or not. I don't think I had anything invested in whether they technically won the case or not. I didn't. So I wasn't surprised about them winning. I wouldn't have been surprised if they lost. And it still would have been a fantastic film either way, in my opinion. Because it's not about that. We already know what's going on. We already know whether the justice system helps him or not. Whether the justice system fails him or not. We don't know. And we've already pointed out the flaws in the justice system in the film, which is brilliant. Okay, moving on. What's the illness featured in this film? AIDS. They say AIDS over and over and over. HIV, AIDS, in this film. Is the illness one you were previously aware of or familiar with? If so, how? Yes, I was 12 when this movie came out. And I was trying to strain my memory. I knew I was gay since I was in preschool. I had a crush on a boy in preschool. So I knew, I also knew that I'm not going to, this is not therapy. I also knew that my father was not okay with gay people. And I never said anything, not until way later after my parents were divorced and I was living with my mom. That's when I ended up coming out, when I was in high school. Anyway, I, at 12 years old, we were living at home, my parents were still together, when this movie came out. And I was trying to strain, in 93, I was trying to strain my memory, when did we hear about Michael Jordan. When did we hear about that? When did he publicly say he had HIV? I can't remember. And it was such a culture shock. I remember it being a culture shock. So here is this athletic, heterosexual male who was an icon to so many, straight men. Here he is. He's dealing with the same thing that they keep calling this gay plague or gay whatever. People used to view HIV as a very homosexual gay thing, and to punish the gay people is what I heard a lot when I was a kid, and to hear that Michael Jordan had it was a huge shock. And I can't remember if that was before or after this film came out. So did I know about AIDS? Yes, I didn't know exactly what it was, all the just the rumors that I had heard, and then Michael Jordan. I certainly heard about Michael Jordan before I saw this film. I can guarantee that. But not like before the movie came out. I don't remember. Anyway, After seeing this film, how do you think you will interact with someone who has this illness? No different. I I can't answer that question retrospectively. I can't. All I can say is now I would not treat anybody differently. I have friends who have HIV. I live with somebody who, so I've known people who died of, and I don't treat anybody any different. It's an illness. Why would I treat you different? Like, am I going to be cautious about getting it or not getting it? Yeah, like anything, I would be, but I know enough about it because I lived with somebody who, long story, all intensive purposes, a roommate of mine had HIV, and so I knew how to live with her and around the disease. And there was nothing really a big deal. If there was blood, you be careful around it. She can't cough on me and give it to me. That's stupid. You can use the same toilet. You can use the same tissue paper. There was no reason to treat her any different, is what I'm saying. And so there would be no reason for me to treat anybody with HIV any different. What else would you like to say? I have plenty of notes, so let's try to get to them. And the last little thing here, since Wind Beneath My Wings was almost cut from the soundtrack for Beaches, 1989. It won 2 Grammy Awards. Wow. See, I had read this, like I said, I tried to do this video before and it failed, and I had read that before. I don't think I've ever seen the full movie Beaches. My mom loved it, and I know that Bette Midler's in it, and I like a lot of Bette Midler music, but I don't think I ever saw that full film. And I do know what it's about, so. Okay, moving on. Let's get to the notes, because I do have a handful of notes. And like I said, this is a very serious and personal type of film. It hits home for me on multiple levels, and so I go off on tangents, as you already know, and trying not to make this super long, but trying to get to it. I have to say, Pablo Ferro did such an amazing job with the opening titles. Now, there, in a couple other reviews, I have talked about how sometimes the opening titles can be amazing, make you feel what you need to feel or see what you need to see, and just to point out, and I love that Jonathan Demme put Pablo's name in the beginning credits. Like, he designed these credits, and I'm glad that his name is there, because it's not just we just put credits on there. No, somebody designs it for a purpose. Okay, so and what I mean by this is, look at the cursive writing. It makes it seem personal, like somebody's writing it. The swoopy cursive writing, the music. Look at the way in this whole opening credits. Look at the way we're not filming extras. We're in the streets of Philadelphia. People are waving. People are looking at the camera. People are talking to whoever's behind the camera. So this is not a bunch of actors. This is like, we're on the streets of Philadelphia. The song Streets of Philadelphia is going. Everything about the opening credits is getting you hooked personally. It's bringing you in personally. It's trying to make it us. And you're a part of what we're about to watch. I love it. Think about another Jonathan Demme film, Silence of the Lambs. Those credits were, okay, first of all, she's on a FBI training course in the very beginning, opening credits. So it's a place we're not really supposed to be. It's FBI training course. As the audience, we're not supposed to be there. Here in Philadelphia, it is the streets of Philadelphia, and it brings you in. You feel like you should be there, especially with people looking directly at the camera and reacting. But Silence of the Lambs, not at all. You're not supposed to be here. Okay, so we are observing. So automatically you have that dichotomy. But then when the opening credits pop up in Silence of the Lambs, it's black, blocked, and like with white outlines. And you're just like, this is so impersonal, technical. It has a completely different feel. Think about Seven. Do you remember the opening credits for Seven? And I think I mentioned it when I did the review. Oh my God, those were like the pages of the journal and the creepiness and him slicing his fingers. You see all this stuff and him sewing the pages together and all the pictures and the markouts. And you're just, the Nine Inch Nails, not the song, but the music of the song, it's just completely different. So there are certain opening titles that are just amazing, and I love that these opening titles bring you in on a personal level, because we're about to talk about something personal and human, and we want you in the film, and that's what this whole opening sequence does. It brings you into the film, and I love it. I love it. So the opening, innocuous, like I said, so the opening scene between the two of them after the credits, the opening scene between the two of them arguing a case. I love this. This is extremely important to show that they are both lawyers. They're arguing a case against each other, but it's not like they don't like each other. They don't know anything about each other. There's no reason to not like each other. They're just lawyers arguing different sides of the case. So I love that we see that they are indifferent towards each other. It's just a case. Because later on, that's not the case. Later on when he anyway, I'll talk about that later. Later on, it's completely different. So I love this opening scene. It's very important to show them in the same room, in the same space together, and treating each other civilly. They're just lawyers. I love it. I love it. I've mentioned this before in another video. This is just the way I say it. This is just the way I see it. Sometimes when a straight person plays a gay person on film, stage, TV, my words, put on a little gay. They put on some kind of flamboyance or something that they associate with gay men or gay people. And sometimes that bothers me. When it's done as a joke, it's frustrating a little bit, a lot. When it's done because they think that's how gay people act, that's frustrating and upsetting. I love that Tom Hanks doesn't really do that. What I like is I want to, and we get this with Antonio Banderas later on, and I'm just going to say it now. We get this with Antonio Banderas later on because his character, I feel Antonio Banderas does put on just a little bit of gay, a little bit of flamboyance, a little bit of softening. Tom Hanks softens his voice a little bit. He's not as abrasive, I don't think. He's not even trying to be. And just that little bit of like being vulnerable, being soft, I completely believe that, and how they did his hair and how they did his costuming. So I completely believe that he is a gay man, and he didn't really have to try to get me to believe. And Antonio Banderas tries a little hard, but I love his performance because I want to see the difference between this gay man and that gay man, because we're not all the same. I mean, obviously we're not all the same. And so I love that there are, and then a bunch of the other casts, I'm almost completely sure that a bunch of the other gay men in the film are actually gay in real life, which is fantastic. Cast, when you can, cast gay people in gay roles. Why? Because we're people too. And we're all over Hollywood like crazy. And gay people can play straight people can play gay, and that's fine. Just do it with, in my opinion, I would say do it with some respect. And I think both Tom Hanks and Antonio Banderas did a beautiful job in this film. And I love their portrayal in this film. They're great. So when I was watching this as a kid, when I was younger, like I said, I didn't watch it when it first came out. But when I finally watched it, I was probably late teens. And if you don't already know what the movie's about, which you might or might not, the first hint I get that something is wrong with Andy is when his mom reacts to him asking her, "How are you doing?" And she has that hiccup, and she almost cries, and she composes herself. Now they're on the phone, so he doesn't see this. But her performance is brilliant. She does it again later on in the film, and I love it. She has this hiccup that we see as the audience, and she's hiding it from him because she understands the inevitability of it, and she's having a very hard time with it, and we see that, and I love that we get to see that. I didn't get as a kid that when he goes to the hospital in the beginning that he's in an HIV specific clinic. I didn't know that. It just went over my head. Now today I watch it and I go, oh, of course, that first scene before he talks to his mom, that first scene when all the nurses are there and everybody's talking about, yes, of course he's in an HIV specific clinic, of course. But I didn't get that when I first watched it. I didn't get that until I was in my 20s and seeing this and went, oh, I get now where he's at. I just didn't have that much exposure. I was in NorCal, East Bay. I didn't have that much exposure to what this was and where we're at. The promotion scene. Wow, I'm trying to move myself along. The promotion scene is fantastic. Again, I love that. Just like that opening scene with the two lawyers. Miller and Beckett. So Joe Miller and Andrew Beckett. So that just like that beginning scene with the two of them and them being completely normal and great together. I love this promotion scene because it shows the reality of who Andrew was for this firm before they find out he has HIV. Before they find out he's sick. And they're all proud of him, glad. They promote him. They ask his opinion. He's able to give his opinion about certain things. I love that opening, that promotion scene. It's so amazing. The touching, the handshakes, everything about it is wonderful. They needed that. Because it's a very different stark contrast to later on when they fire him. So it's important. Faith is belief in something for which we have no evidence. It does not apply to this situation. I love Jason Robards in this film. The only other film that I think he is better in is Magnolia. Oh my God, he's brilliant in that. This one, I love him. I'm not in love with the character. I'm in love with his performance. is brilliant. So this beginning when he says that, and how important Andrew is to them and to the firm, and how much they believe in him. It's very important. I just love that line because it sinks home that they believe in his ability. There's no question about it. They made him a senior partner, or senior associate. Excuse me, senior associate. He's not a partner. He's a senior associate. Okay, so this note. I grew up in a time and a place, and there still are today. Again, like I said, I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody's experience today, 2024, because I know people still struggle with this. But I grew up in a time where I remember having to hide who I was, my sexuality. I'm not black. And I get that black people can't hide that they are black. And when they are the victims of bias and racism, it's not like they can hide who they are. I was fortunate enough that it was my sexuality and I could hide my sexuality. And hearing knowing that he has to lie at his place of work about the racquetball. Like, he said it was a racquetball that hit him. So he's lying about his illness. He knows. He's lying about his sexuality. He hasn't said it. Later on, we find out, yeah, I didn't tell them. And why I didn't tell them, yes. It's a shame that today we still have places in this world where you can be fired for being gay. Your sexuality, you're born with it. It's not like you choose it. Do you really think I chose to be ostracized, for my sexuality? No. And black people didn't choose to be black. They were born that way. And there's nothing, it doesn't make any sense that there's something different about a sexuality, about people who are bisexual or gay or transgender or any of that. It doesn't make sense that they would choose to have the rest of the world treat them different, or a large part of the world. It's very unfortunate. Anyway, I understand where he's coming from when he has to lie about who he is. Later on, they bring that up about, his lying is second nature to you. I mean, that's sad, but it's true. To a degree. And like I said, in parts of the world, parts of the country, people still have to do that. And that's ridiculous. That's so dumb. Anyway, okay, so a quick little inside personal. My best friend was a theater major. He used to live in New York. He had a friend who I've met multiple times at like his birthday and Thanksgiving and things like that. This woman, she's super sweet. She's amazing. I'm not going to say her name because I don't have her consent. She's not really a friend of mine, but at one of these gatherings, she told us a story about how she was in Philadelphia, but her part was cut. Right after Andy gets promoted, there was a scene that they shot. She said it was like a 1-day thing or maybe a 2-day thing. And he comes down after being promoted and he comes in and she's a cleaning lady, I believe, like just cleaning stuff up. And he says, "It's good to be king." And I think they have a little moment. I don't remember if she said she had a line or not, but it was just a quick little thing. And that was it. Unfortunately, her part was cut. So she's not credited. She's not in there. But years later, Tom Hanks does Castaway. She's cast as, I think she said she's a family member in the beginning of the film before he goes on the ship and gets deserted on the airplane and then gets deserted. We were talking. She said that they were talking about their careers. Everybody was sitting around talking about their careers, and she brought up the fact. She said, "Tom, I don't know if you remember or not, but this is not the first film that we've been in." And he looked at her, took a couple of seconds, and then said, "It's good to be king." And she was floored. Like, he remembered, not only did he remember her, some background woman who probably maybe had one line, if that, from a scene that was cut from the film, but he also remembered the line. And she was just kind of floored. And I wanted to say that because Tom Hanks is apparently from, 2 degrees of separation, is a very sweet, amazing person as well as a fantastic actor. And so I just wanted to say that because when people are great, like Gary Sinise was, and I think I said that like when I was on set with him, oh my God, when people are great, I like to say that. So you understand, one, that these are people in real life, and two, that some of them are amazing people, even though sometimes they might not play amazing people on, I haven't seen a whole lot that Tom Hanks did that wasn't a great character, but anyway. Okay, moving on. Little insider thing I had to throw in there. So moving on. Jonathan Demme wants us to know, without doubt, he puts on the screen for us to see that Andy finishes the Highline complaint. It is on his computer. He's in his office. He prints it out. He puts a paper clip on it. He puts it on his desk, and he grabs a cigar. He finished it on time. The only reason why he's not in the office is because he's showing signs. He's showing lesions. He's showing signs of his illness, and he's still trying to keep that secret. But his ability is not hampered whatsoever. He finishes the Highline complaint. We see it on his computer. We see it printed on his desk. Jonathan Demme makes zero mistakes saying, or zero doubt saying he finished it and it was there. What he makes very vague, Jonathan Demme makes very vague, is he doesn't show you anything after that point. It comes up later. He doesn't show you anything after that point. We don't see what happened to the Highline complaint. We only see later on when he calls the office and they're like, we can't find it. And the guy's on the computer and he can't find it. There's no trace of it. There's nothing. And we're like, wait, we saw. Jonathan Demme made it important for us to see. He finished it. It was on his desk. What happened to it is what the whole movie's about. So I love that he shows you without doubt certain things. Important. Without doubt, he shows you certain things, and then other things he leaves for not interpretation, but for combatant and during trial and what really happened. We don't know. We don't know. Everything else is speculation. Oh, I already gave that note about Antonio. He's so great in this movie. I love him. And his reaction when the doctor comes, I love. That's the first time we see him really, Miguel, and his reaction with the doctor. It's so great on so many levels. How we're not treated as equals. He's not a part of the immediate family. I could have you thrown out. So technically, you have no rights here, which is frustrating to even. Anyway, I love the importance of showing how Miguel is sticking up for Andrew because they are partners, and he's like, wait, we don't want to go through this painful procedure just because we got to rule everything else out before you do something uncomfortable and frustrating. So I love that quick little scene, so we get how their dynamic is, Andrew and Miguel, and we get how unfortunate they are treated in the system. Even though the doctor allows them to be there, he points out the fact that I could have you kicked out, which no doctor would do with family, wouldn't do, great scene. So very important. Oh yeah, okay. So then we have that struggle. Even I'm like, what the fuck happened to this complaint? Like, we saw it there. Jonathan Demme showed it, and then we were like, because after the doctor thing, he calls and then he goes and it's like, there. What did he say? Oh, I'd be fucking livid, and he's like, there's a solution to every problem. There's a solution to every problem, and I'm like, I would have just been like. That's just my personality. I would have been like, wait, what? It was fucking there. Like, wait, what? No. What do you mean it's not on the computer? Like, I would be. So I love that his character's just like, okay. Even though he's in the hospital, he's having problems, like medical issues, he's still like, take it easy. There's a solution to we're going to find it. Now, later on, we find out he freaks out when he's in the office. Yes, yes, yes. But then they show him apologize, or she says that he apologizes. I don't know what happened. I don't understand this. And then the firing, the stark contrast, just going into this sterile room when he gets fired, and it's like. And they're way over here on this side of the table, and he's way over here on this side of this huge table. They don't want anywhere near him or anything to do with him. They close off the it's not welcoming whatsoever. So the stark contrast between when he's promoted and when he's fired is insane. And I can't remember, it's like 9 weeks later or something like that. He was working on the Highline complaint for a while. I think it's like 9 weeks later, I think they said. I can't remember because I watched this a while ago. But time has passed. But not enough time for what we saw, how they treated him in one scene, in the promotion scene, and then completely different in how they treat him in the firing scene. You're as the audience, me as the audience, I'm going, wait, what? Like, my brain is like, I don't understand what the fuck is going on. How are they just treating him? It doesn't make any sense. Some people think you have an attitude problem. Really? Who? Me? I do. You know, for what was his character's name? Wheeler? Yeah, Charles Wheeler. For him to say that when he had that line about faith is a belief in something where we have no evidence, for him to have that line and be that buddy with Andrew and then and be like, I think you have an attitude problem. Like, what? Really well done. Really well done. And I love that stark contrast. Again, everything is still left up to speculation. We don't know who, what, when, where. We don't know that they know he's sick at that point. We don't know. We don't see any of that. Jonathan Demme doesn't want to show us any of that. Why? Because there still has to be that doubt. Even though we're kind of like, as the audience, like, this is not right. There still has to be that doubt. He doesn't want to show you that they were cohorting and they knew that he was sick and they don't want to show you that somebody took that Highline complaint off his desk and off his computer, because that had to have happened. It had to have. We saw that it was there. So we don't want to see that on film. He doesn't want to show you that. Why? There still has to be that little bit of doubt. So moving on. I love that Miller will take on an obvious loser of a case. That guy who, like, you chose to walk through a construction site, clearly marked, fell, injured, and now you want to sue the city. He takes an obvious loser case. Yeah, we'll take care of you. Yeah, sure. And then Andrew comes in again. So the stark contrast between that first scene with them when they're arguing that case in the beginning, the very, very first scene, to this point. Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors in Hollywood. He is amazing. I love Tom Hanks. He's done some amazing work, but in my opinion, Denzel Washington has better range and ability. I find Denzel to be a better actor, even though, anyway, I don't have to quantify. My opinion is Denzel is fucking amazing. I love him. And I have a ton of his movies. He has such a great range. And this reaction, this whole scene is brilliant. It's much like Rain Man. Think of Rain Man if you've seen it. Dustin Hoffman got the Academy Award for it. Dustin Hoffman did a fantastic job playing an autistic man. Is he autistic? No. No. But he does a fantastic job and is well deserving of an Oscar. I don't know the other things that were nominated that year. Try not to go off on too much of a tangent. But without Tom Cruise's fantastic, amazing performance in that film, we wouldn't have watched it. It would be unwatchable. Just think, try to take Tom Cruise out of it, and all we're watching is a movie with the Rain Man. It's not watchable. There's nothing there to watch. He can just have a fantastic performance, and then we'd be like, why are we watching this? Tom Cruise's performance, amazing performance, cannot be overlooked in Rain Man, even though Hoffman won the award. You can't. You've got to acknowledge that Cruise carried the movie. He had to. He was the focus. Now, Denzel doesn't have to carry this movie. because Andrew Beckett is a character that we can watch a whole movie of, and we don't really need anybody else. Yes, I get that. But just because Tom Hanks won the Academy Award does not mean you should discount like Denzel's amazing performance in this. Denzel is fantastic in this. And I have a funny feeling it has a piece to do with being a black man and having to understand racism, biasness, understand that negativity coming at you. And so for him to understand that and be able to play, I mean, he's not biased against, Andrew because he's white. It's because he's gay. So it's a little different. It's the sexuality part that he's not okay with. His character's not okay with. His character, not him. So I feel like that gave Denzel the ability to put himself in the shoes of and then be able to play the opposite side of that. He did such a great job. And this opening scene is brilliant when he first finds out Andrew is... Because not only does Andrew have AIDS, and he's like, whoa, and wants to get as far away from him as possible. And he's watching, and look at all the beautiful close-ups. Oh my God, Jonathan Demme. All the beautiful close-ups, everything he touches, everything. Miller is just freaking out internally. Because not only now he knows that Andrew Beckett is HIV positive, he has AIDS, but he also probably speculates or assumes that he is gay right away. Even though Andrew hasn't said that. So all those biases and prejudices, you see it in his performance in that first scene, and it's amazing. And not only the scene with him and the fact that he won't take a case that sounds legit, absolutely sounds legit, but he'll take the other guy's case. Give me a break, which is an obvious loser. He just won't take this case because personally he doesn't want it. He even says that. He says, if you don't want it for personal reasons, thank you, I don't. So, and it's not just what he does and says while Andrew is there. It's what he does and says as soon as Andrew leaves the office too. And he's like, get me an appointment with the doctor right away. And he touches it and you see him. Oh, his performance is great. His performance is fantastic. I love this whole scene. I love to hate this character in the beginning because I don't like this character in the beginning. He's a homophobic is not the right word because it's not a phobia. I have a phobia. I know what a phobia is. That's not what this is. This is, you can't call it racism because it's not race. What is the word for it? Sexism? No, because it's not. He's not a woman, and normally sexism would be against sexuality. No, or against your gender, not against your sexuality. Anyway, a biasness against sexuality. I hate the word homophobia. It's stupid. There is no real homophobia. That's dumb. It's a dumb word. It's not a phobia. Like I said, I am somebody with a phobia, clinically diagnosed with a phobia. So that word is frustrating as hell. Homophobia is stupid and dumb, and it doesn't make any sense. This character is biased against sexuality, biased against homosexuals. He doesn't like them. What is he does say prejudice. I'm prejudiced against homosexuals. I think that's his line to his wife, which is a great line. So I love to hate this character at first because he's despicable at first, but his character, of all the characters, his character has the biggest arc in the film. Yes, this movie focuses on Tom Hanks, on Andrew Beckett, but Miller I believe has the biggest character arc in the film. And Denzel, you had to have somebody amazing do it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been as impactful. And Denzel does it brilliantly. I already said that. Oh, I love the doctor's reaction to, I don't care a whit about your private life. I love the doctor's, first of all, I love that he's seeing a black doctor. That says something. I don't know if that was Jonathan Demme's choice or if it was just coincidental. Like, oh, we cast a doctor and we didn't even think the fact that Miller is seeing a black doctor, or if it was on purpose. I have a funny feeling it was on purpose. But I do love the fact that he goes to see his doctor is black, which suggests that he's not just, the character is not just prejudice against sexuality. He's also, partially racist. But I mean, anyway, not going to get into that. I just love the fact that his doctor is black. It says something about his character. Like I said, his character has the biggest arc. And I love how beautifully detached the doctor is. It's completely clinical. I don't care. I don't care if you do or don't sleep with men. I don't care if you are or aren't gay. That has nothing to do with anything. If you're having concerns about HIV, let's test you. Like, I don't care. I don't care. So I love the doctor's reaction. I find it very important. And then obviously Miller's reaction to it, like I'm not, give me a break. You're funny. So, that scene is good. That scene's important. It's good. It's hard for me to watch these opening scenes, these scenes with Miller, when he's so blatantly prejudiced against gays. I understand that this is an actor. He's doing a great job. But it's hard for me to watch because I went through people thinking that way about me. People talking that way about gays with me. And me having to agree because at the time I was not out. So hearing people and talking to people about that, or people using the Bible against gays, and then when I did come out, people using the Bible and telling me that all the negative things you hear about that Bible bashing people like to use on people of different sexualities. It's hard sometimes to just hear him be that person. Normally Denzel, no, I'm not going to say that because Denzel has had such a wide range of characters and he's not always good. Absolutely not always good. So I enjoyed watching, I enjoy his performance, and it's also hard because I remember those things in my own life. That line... This line always makes me laugh, and I always have to react to it when I'm watching it. When he tells his wife, I don't want to be in the bed with anybody who's stronger than me or that has more hair on their chest than I do. And I always laugh at that because I'm like, well, neither do I. I'm gay, and neither do I. I don't want to be... I am not attracted to guys who are big like me. I am not attracted to guys that are my age. I am not attracted to guys who are hairy like I am. Not at all. Opposites attract sometimes. Sometimes I see plenty of guys that are with other guys that look exactly like them. And they're a couple and they've been together forever and they look like they could be brothers. Yes, that happens. But I don't... I don't want to be in the Chris Hemsworth, Jason Momoa of the world. I don't want to be anywhere near that. I'm not attracted to any of that. That's not what I'm attracted to. So it's funny that Miller has this line because I agree with him. I don't either. I don't want to be in the bed with somebody who's stronger than me. I don't want to be in the bed with somebody who's hairier than me. And that has nothing to do with sexuality. That has to do with preference. That's not sexuality. So I laugh at that every time he says that. It makes me laugh. The library scene. Oh my God, I have so many notes. The library scene is so brilliant. We need to move on. We need to move quicker. I love Tracy Walter. And I wish that they would give him more to do, but he always plays side characters. He does a really good job with the library scene. You see the fear and the discrimination between people at the library. And I love that this is where Miller steps up and finally, and it's because of what his wife said. It's because of what his wife said in the earlier scene that he finally takes a chance, takes a step. He understands HIV a little better because of what his doctor said. And so he forces himself to take a step forward and out of his comfort zone. Again, Miller's character has the biggest arc. And I love that scene in the library. It's wonderful. I love it when Andy shows that he is perfectly capable when he is reading the book upside down and from the other side of the table. And he's reading about discrimination. And he is showing that he, even though he is sick, he looks sick, he's coughing, he is perfectly capable. Absolutely 100% perfectly capable. He's reading clear, concise, upside down from across the table. Wonderful. I that's very important, and I love it. Oh, when they get the summons. Again, Robards, his performance in this is second to only one, in my opinion, Magnolia. I haven't seen everything that he's done, but I love Magnolia even more than I do this. But his character is so despicable, and I love to... There are parts where I love to, like, he does such a great job at being despicable. When he gets the summons, what is his first reaction? Let's discredit Andy. Does he frequent those pathetic bars on Chestnut or something he says, and does he use, all the things that he can think of that are despicable for gay people to do, he's like, let's figure it out and discredit him. I can't believe that his first thought is to that. And what shocks me is, like, he acts like straight people don't go to bars. He acts like straight guys don't go to Hooters and for the women in the tight tops or the outfits. He's acting like straight people don't watch porn. He's acting like straight people don't do any of that. Like, bullshit. Don't act like that's any different, that gay people do something different. It's insane. They're, anyway, the absurdity of it is part of it. You get it. You're supposed to. It's supposed to be that way. And he does, and Robards does such a great job in that scene. And then they're all trying to feign like nobody knew, and the one guy's like, I suspected. Wait, or no. Did you know he was sick? No, not really. He says, no, not really. He says later on in trial that he suspected. Oh yeah. The scene where, and I thought it was a holiday, but it's not. When Andy goes home for the parents' anniversary, I thought it was like a holiday because it has that holiday feel because of the snow. And I'm thinking, okay, is this Thanksgiving? Is this Christmas? But then you see, I think there's a happy anniversary sign up in there. So it's the parents' anniversary and he goes home for, I love this scene. Again, here's the second time we see the mom react behind Andy so Andy can't see. And she has that hiccup of the inevitability. She knows he's going to pass. And she has that. The camera's on her because the little girl's like doing a handheld. And Andy goes and he's talking to family. And you see that she almost starts crying. She's happy, but she almost starts crying because she knows he's not going to be here much longer. I mean, it may be a few months, it may be a year, but it's not going to be long. And she knows it. I love that little reaction. That actress does a great job. I'm too long in. I don't want to look her up, but she does a great job. Little bit outdated. I love the support from the whole family. Everybody supports him. He's, him and Miguel, because Miguel's there. I love that feeling. I didn't have that. I come from a broken home, so that doesn't matter. I mean, it's so completely different. But to see that warmth in the middle of the country somewhere, to see that togetherness, that support of Andy in '93. I mean, I don't know when he came out, but if this movie was made in '93 and he has HIV in '93, then he must have, and he's an adult, that he must have come out way before that, you know? So anyway, it's great to see that. I think in the 80s. He admits to being in the bar in the 80s or something. Anyway, it does frustrate me. This does, and I am going to mention it. This frustrates me a lot. And it's a line that I wish they would never have put in the film because it doesn't fit. In my opinion, it doesn't fit whatsoever. When they're going around and saying, the trial is going to be difficult and everybody's, we support you, we support you. The mom has this wonderful line that, in my opinion, does not fit in this scene whatsoever. She has a brilliant line. It's great. I'm not saying the line isn't wonderful. The line is great. She says, I didn't raise my kids to sit in the back of the bus. You get in there and fight for your rights. I get the sentiment. I'm not saying the line is wrong. I'm saying it doesn't belong in this scene. Why? They're all white from the middle of the country. And aside from Andy, they're all straight. Why would you even have to teach your children to stand up for their rights? You're white. In the middle of the United States, you're the top of the food chain. And you're all straight. Except for Andy, who I'm assuming wasn't out when he was in high school and on the bus. I just felt like this line is so wrong here. It's black people who had to sit in the back of the bus. It's women for so long who were treated negatively. It's gays still are, but there is no reason for her to ever have that sentiment. I didn't teach my children to sit in the... Well, you wouldn't have to. That wouldn't even come up. You wouldn't even have... Yeah, I think that line it didn't belong in this scene at all. And I every time I hear it, this is why I can't give this a 5. One of the reasons why I can't give this a 5-star rating. I'm just like, that's just so wrong in that scene. It's a great line, beautiful sentiment. I agree with it, and so wrong in that scene. This is not the place for that line. Oh, Mary Steenburgen. So she's the other one that I'm like, I forgot that she was in it. I forget every time that she's in it. And when she shows up, I'm like, oh, I forgot. I fucking hate her. Not her. She's a great actress. Her character. Oh my God. And I don't hate her as she's despicable like Charles Wheeler is despicable. I hate her because she's annoying as hell. Her character is annoying as hell. And it's fine. Steenburgen chose a character, or maybe Dem coached her into a character, and she chose a character, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. It's just that character annoys me. Fact. Oh my God. I want to smack her. I want to smack her so bad. Like, I hate that. Whoever wrote that, and the way she delivers it is brilliant, but it's brilliant in a way that makes me like, I hate this character. She's so annoying. Just get off the screen. Get away. Fact. Oh. Here's just another note about, oh my God, about how ridiculous it is to treat people different just because of their sexuality. It has nothing to do with you. That line in the bar when he's like, Tutti Fruttis make me sick too. At least we agree on one thing. Tutti Fruttis make me sick too. I'm like, what the fuck does it have to do with you? I don't understand what somebody else's sexuality has anything to do with you. And why you automatically hate it for no reason and find it disgusting. It's not your sexuality. It's not you. A gay man's not coming for you. It's just, I get it's supposed to bring that up. It's supposed to bring that up. That's why we have those lines in this movie. Yes, it's supposed to. I get it. But people think that way, which doesn't make any sense. But I mean, that's part of the whole thing. Um, the legal system is broken. Um, it just, there are so many aspects of the legal system doesn't really work, but it's what we have. And I've said this before, it's what we have, and we have to work, we have to change it within and where we can. It is broken, but it's what we have to work with. And I think multiple times in this film they kind of point that out. When that girl says, I think counsel tends to oversimplify. When she automatically is like, again, I don't like Steenburgen's character. She's annoying. When she's like, how did you ascend through a company that practices, what is it, racism and bigotry as wanton, and I forget her exact line, but she's like, as often as you are proclaiming. They didn't say often. They're talking about one or two instances of discrimination, and one really bad one, being fired. One really bad one, but then one like because of her earrings. Yes, that shouldn't have happened. Yes, I agree he shouldn't have said that, but she's not trying to say that they're constantly, as counsel is trying to make it seem. So it's just frustrating. That character is just so, Steenburgen's character is just so irritating. Like the Simpsons Homer, I just want to, shut up. But, to manipulate what people say, to put emphasis on things that they didn't. When they asked that girl when they asked the other girl that has HIV, I don't know if I made a note about this, but I'm going to say it. When they asked the other girl HIV, so it was nothing on your part. You got it through a blood transfusion, so it wasn't action on your part that caused you to have this. For them to even bring that up in the court, like, fuck you. What does that have to do with it? Whether I contracted it, like she says, I don't consider myself any different. I'm not guilty. I'm not innocent. I'm just trying to survive. I love that she says that, because that's the truth. It doesn't matter how you contract it. I have it. And now I have to deal with it. That doesn't mean I should be treated differently. Like the guy that kept, the lawyer that kept treating me differently now that he knew I had AIDS. That's not okay. Like the guy says later on, we've had people who had ulcers and other sicknesses, blah, blah, blah. We don't treat them the same. Yeah, but they're not gay. And they don't, they don't have a disease that we didn't, at the time, didn't know enough about, and we're so scared of, and we're so prejudiced against people. We're prejudiced. And it's just like, oh yeah, the pharmacy scene. I was not expecting that. Oh my God, I was not expecting that, and I love it. I love it. Joe's character has come a long way. Miller, he still has. Take it as a compliment, he says. I wish more people would understand that. If I'm gay and I find someone attractive and I don't know if they are gay or straight, why is it wrong for me to say something? It's wrong for me to touch. It's wrong for me, but that's the same in a straight scenario, man and woman. It's wrong for me to, if they say no, to push. Of course it's wrong, but that's the same in a straight situation, man and woman. It shouldn't be wrong for me to ask. It shouldn't be wrong for me to compliment. I find you very attractive. It shouldn't be wrong for me to ask someone out. And it shouldn't be wrong for me to do that. If you're not gay, tell me, and I'm fine. Okay, fine. No problem. I'm not going to take offense to that. This character in the pharmacy, I don't think he would have taken offense if Joe said, No, I'm not gay. What do you mean? No, I'm not. When he says, I don't pick up people in drugstores. What, you think I'm gay? Well, aren't you? Yes. That I do have a little bit of a problem with. So on both sides, both characters, I have a little bit of problem with how they handled that situation, but I also on both sides I agree with parts of how that whole, we're all different. So that whole interaction, I was totally floored because I didn't expect it. And I also have those feelings of like, I can see it from both their points of view. I can feel it from both of their points of view. And I think they both were wrong at points and right at points. Such a simple scene, but so much invested in that scene. Again, the beginning credits brought me into this movie, and so I'm invested in the movie. That beautiful scene is when Miller finally asks the guy on the stand, "Are you gay?" and then that just caused a whole interruption in the court. This case is not just about AIDS discrimination; it's about sexual discrimination, sexuality discrimination. And when he gets back to the table, and Andy says, "Very good," and the judge is like, "Justice is blind." He says, "But we don't live in the courtroom, do we?" That's such an important scene. Again, pointing out the fact that the legal system is broken. And just because in the courtroom it's one way doesn't mean in real life it's that way. And just because someone on the stand is going to say, I have no problem with gay people, but then how they act and how they be in the world is different. So it's a very emotionally charged scene. Very needed scene. I love that scene when it's brought to bear that this is not just about Andy's sickness. This is about Andy's sexuality. And Miller finally understands that because of the interaction in the pharmacy. His character now gets this is more than just a case about AIDS being fired. It's about discrimination based on sexuality as well. Like he says in the courtroom, our fear, the general public's fear and loathing about gays. I think that's what he says. He says something about like that. Two more pages. Sorry. 112. 2 more pages. Sometimes it's the real tiny, subtle things when you put yourself into a character that pop up without you even saying anything. It's not a line. It's an action. It's a reaction. It's a feeling. It's a way you look. It's a way you be. Tom Hanks's performance is amazing in this part when they can't get the medicine in. And Antonio, or excuse me, Miguel is like, the vein is probably closed. We got to have the nurse come. He says, no, let's skip it for tonight. He says, these treatments are keeping you alive. And then he freaks out and he gets frustrated and he goes back to the kitchen. And what I love is when Beckett says, well, maybe I should start planning my memorial. And Miguel says, maybe you should think about it. Watch Tom Hanks's performance. Watch him think about it. This is why people are brilliant actors. This is how people just watch it. Why he deserved the award. Because Tom Hanks knows what the line is. He has to say it. He's probably rehearsed it over and over and over. So he knows what the next line is. He knows what Miguel's line is because he has to react to it. He knows all the lines. So nothing is new. This situation is not new. He probably didn't even film this film in order. So he knows that he's going to die. He's read the script. He knows everything, okay? Tom Hanks knows all of it. But watch him think and react to that thought. Because he says it like not quite nonchalantly, but almost playing with, well, maybe I should start planning my memoir. He says, maybe you should think about it and just watch him go, what does that mean? He knows, we all know I'm going to die. What is that? For me to actually think about it, do I really want to think of? Watch Tom Hanks think about, feel that line, feel that sentiment, and then be like, no, nope, nope. And the way he says it is just, no, nope, nope. I have a better idea. Just that little part, it's so brilliant. Just watching him feel all those emotions about thinking about, I have to think about my own death. I have to think about my own memorial. I should be taking this more seriously. No, we're going to have a party. Why? Because I want to live. I don't want to live my life like I'm dying. I want to live. And I think that little piece, that little hint of him being like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not planning my memorial. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have I'm going to live. I'm going to have a party. Because yes, it is the end of my life, but I'm going to be gone soon. But you know what? I don't want to think about that. I want to think about life and living. And I just love that it's just, I love it. Tom Hanks did such a great job in that little scene. Watch it. It's so fantastic. Queers are afraid to fight. Queers dress in their mother's clothes. They're a danger to your children. All they want to do is get in your pants. That line hurts, and it's so great, but it's so sad. And that generally sums up the idea out there. I think that's what he says. And you're just like, what? And I remember hearing those things. Absolutely. I remember my dad saying those things. Absolutely. But just to hear it again and to know that it wasn't just my house and to know that it wasn't just my city or my street, that it's everywhere. And it's hard to hear that. Like, what? What? And Andrew's reaction to it's I applaud the character for that reaction because I probably wouldn't have had that reaction. There's a possibility I won't be around to see the end of this trial. And now we just got to like, oh shit, we just got serious. And I love it. And we finally see, I think this is the scene where we finally see, this is right after the party, that Beckett and Miller are actually friends. Holy shit, how, Miller's arc is insane. It's brilliant. And now we see that they are actually friends. And I think it's that scene we finally get it. He's not just his lawyer. They're the opera, when he's talking about the opera and going, it's such a brilliant scene. I remember them just like blowing that scene up when the film came out because it was just amazing. Again, great performance by Tom Hanks. I love that scene. There's two things I want to talk about at that scene right there. Just like I said, watch Tom Hanks process that comment from Miguel. Maybe you should think about your memorial. When you see Tom Hanks process that, fantastic acting. But on the same note, watch Denzel process Andy's finale of the opera. Watch Andy, and then the big finale of the operatic song. Look at his eyes and his reactions, his his thought process. He's really, this is all scripted. He knows, but his reaction is gorgeous, Denzel. And then what is it that scares Miller at that moment that gets him up and out of his seat? And I can't, he literally is like basically running for the fucking door at that point. No, you're ready. You're fine. He's not trying to give Andy a break. There is something that scared Joe in that scene. And the fact right after he goes and he kisses his daughter, it's mortality. It's gotta be. Andy has to go through this process of dying, and Miller, it scares the fuck out of Miller, and Miller's not even the one that's dying. It's brilliant. It's gorgeous. But that's the one thing I want to say. But then literally right after, when he walks out, shuts the door, he's getting his jacket on. We've already established the fact that they're friends. We get it. They've come a long way. We get this struggle of Andrew knows he's going to die, and probably soon. Miller's fright of mortality. But then at that moment, when he's about to leave, he almost goes back. Why? He almost does 2 double takes and almost goes back and then just forget it and leaves. Why? What is it at that moment? Does he get that they are friends and he wants to be there for his friend, but he's still scared of the mortality of it? He's still scared about the whole thing. And are we really friends? Does he not understand that they are friends? I think Andrew's already completely accepted that they are friends. I think Miller at that point is not sure and is still like, he wants to be, and then, but the situation scares him. I don't know what it is. But it's brilliant to see him struggle with wanting to go back and be with Andy, but then not offer support, but then not. It's not something I probably would have thought of, not something I would have done unless it was in the script to do that, unless the writer told me to do that. I have a funny feeling that wasn't written. That was a choice by Jonathan Demme, and he's like, let's do this. Or it may have been a choice on Denzel Washington's part and being like, this is how I feel at this moment. Can we do this? You know, I don't know who came up with that, but it's brilliant. That struggle is, every time I watch it, that struggle is beautiful. Because of what he's just come through, that wanting to go back and not wanting to go back is great. What a roller coaster of emotions and performance when Andy takes the stand. Wow. And you see his decline as he's on the stand, his energy and his emotion, his everything, because he starts off like wonderful and fine, but he ends up, I don't know if they did that whole scene in one day or if they took multiple days, but it's gorgeous to just watch film wise, cinematic wise. It's just brilliant to watch that change in that character. And what a performance. Like, wow. What the fuck is an active homosexual? Like, that's so... that's another dumbass phrase. What did she say? You tried everything to keep them from knowing that you are an active homosexual. What does that fucking mean? You're either a homosexual or you're not. There's nothing active or non-active about it. Whether you have sex or not has nothing to do with whether you're gay or not. Okay? There are plenty of people who haven't had sex for a long period of time, like myself at this point, and that has nothing to do with their sexuality, whether they're gay or not. And there are people who have sex all the time. That has nothing to do with their sexuality, whether they are gay or not, or bisexual, or trans, or that has nothing to do with it, whether you're having sex or not. And so this idea of active homosexual is stupid. Like, just stupid. I hate that line. But again, it's from a character that annoys the hell out of me, so it's fine. It's fine. Oh, the lesions scene. The lesions redirect. It's gorgeous and heartbreaking at the same time. I mean, it chokes me up every single time when he does the redirect and says, is there any lesion on any part of your body that resembles the lesion on your face at the time of your firing? And when they are like, God, this is a nightmare. Well, he asked for it. No, you asked for it. This is hurting you guys, not him. Does he have a little bit of embarrassment of having to take his shirt off in the court? Probably, but it's nowhere near as impactful on his end as it is on against the defense. I mean, insanely. And you hear everybody gasp. Of course, it just that was like the final nail in the coffin of the defense. You were done. You were done. They asked for it, not Andy. I don't believe. Okay, so I've said before, the mark of a great actor is you believe them, and I believe Jason Robards 100%. I believe him, and I don't believe his character on the stand. I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. But Robards does such a great performance, I believe that I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. So to wrap that around your brain. The truth is, he's so despicable when he gets on the stand. I feel like Joe Miller when he claps and he's like, a great performance. And I'm just like, yeah, that's right. He's a fucking liar. He's a piece of shit. I don't believe hardly anything that came out of his mouth. Like, what a despicable character. And a wonderful performance. Daniel Van Bargen. No small roles. Again, I've seen him in other things. He's done bigger roles in other things, but his role in this always stands out. He's the one that's talking to them about the ship, or he's the juror that kind of like runs the others. I think he's the only one that really has any lengthy lines at all. Everybody else has one or two lines, if that. Fuck the juror who disagrees. The one guy who disagrees is like a 20-year-old, probably straight man. He's like, I disagree. Everybody else agrees. Even the old white man agrees. He's like, agree. Yeah, everybody agrees except you dumbass. I love that there was the one person that's like, disagree. Again, watching Joe Miller's progression, his arc, to see him at the end at the hospital when he helps Andy with the mask, when he touches him, they're in the hospital, he's on his deathbed, and he's touching him. What an amazing arc. He bought him Dom Perignon, which he wouldn't even get for his wife earlier in the movie. He wouldn't get it for her when she had the baby. When he had her daughter, it was too expensive, but he got it for for Andrew Beckett. Is that because there's a settlement? No, they're gonna appeal, and they're gonna try to not pay out. Of course, he's not getting any money yet. They still has to go through a process, but just the fact that he gets it, the fact that he sits on the bed, the fact that he touches, and it's just Miller has come leaps and bounds in this film, and it's so wonderful. Denzel, it's amazing, so wonderful. That scene when everybody's leaving, it's hard to watch because I wasn't sure how to feel at this point. And he's saying, see you tomorrow. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, is it a real see you tomorrow or not? Sometimes I feel like it is, and sometimes I feel like it's not. We know, after seeing it, we know it's not. Like, he's just placating them. See you tomorrow. No, don't worry. Especially when his brother breaks down. I'll see you tomorrow. It's okay. And then it always breaks your heart when he's like, when everybody's gone, and Miguel, I'm ready. And you're just like, oh, man. And then the phone call, and you're just heartbroken. You knew it was coming, but it's still, it's heartbreaking. And then, I love Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. First concert I ever went to. I was in my 20s in Oakland, California. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. To have Neil Young song at the end, the memorial, I thought that was brilliant. That song is fantastic, and I love that they had it at the end. What a great wrap-up to a brilliant film. And it keeps a little bit of hope there, but you're still aching because of it is a memorial. Anyway, that's Philadelphia. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I give it a 4.5 out of 5, 9 out of 10. Like, just a brilliant performance. Very important film. I love it. Sorry this review is a little long, but I had there was a lot of personal stuff to talk about and deal with, when you watch when I watch this kind of a film, or a film like this. So that's Philadelphia. I'll try to get you another review as soon as possible. I'm not going to make it. 52 weeks would have ended in 2 weeks, and there's just no way that I'm going to get that many movies watched in 2 weeks. But I am going to finish the book, so look forward to more reviews, and we'll get through the book. Okay? Thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.